The Breath of Moon is by far one of the most beautiful looking breaths in the series and easily the second strongest breathing form in the entire series, only second to of course the Breath of Sun. It really is befitting how both brothers, one has sun breathing in Yurichi and the other has the Breath of Moon. It is a beautiful homage to how one is surrounded by darkness and ultimately fell into despair in pursuit of power, i.e. Kokushibo with the moon breathing. As we know, the moon inhibits the night and of course the night is dark, and on the other hand Yurichi, being the possessor of the sun breathing, the sun inhibits the day and light, very fitting for Yurichi, who is everything that is good and pure. But this isn't a Yurichi video, this is for the Kokushibo Sims. Today we're gonna be going over and explaining the Breath of Moon. I do have to mention disclaimer, I gotta be honest, this is by far my favorite breath in this series. Kokushibo being the direct relative of Yurichi, we know that this breath is no joke. All the other breaths in the series we have seen are a watered down version of the sun breathing, passed down through many generations, so we know that, for example, the wind breathing of Senami isn't as strong as the wind breathing of the very first wind user. But this goes out of the window when it comes to moon breathing, as of course Kokushibo has been alive for over 4 centuries, keeping and perfecting his form, which is exactly why it is not of any surprise seeing the moon breathing having the most forms in the series, totaling 16 forms. Because he is a demon, his breath is enhanced a lot by his blood demon art. The two infused has made Kokushibo an absolute monster. As I said before, the breath has over 16 forms, and of course we're gonna be going over every single form we have seen in the series, starting with the first one. The first form he used against Michiro and within a second effortlessly cut off the young Hashira's hand completely. The form in the wiki is called Dark Moon Evening Balance, and in the manga is called Evening Shrine instead of the Evening Balance. Maybe there's some lost in translation somewhere. I thought I would bring that up. Actually, every form when we see them in the manga and in the wiki is different, although they kinda are the same, but at the same time it's different names. Michiro describes the speed of the attack to be off from another dimension. We first see Kokushibo use this technique in chapter 165 in the manga. The second form, called Pearl Flower Mooncasing in the wiki and Moonlit Pearl Flowers in the manga, Kokushibo uses it and unleashes it against Gyome to counter Gyome's rock breathing. This form made Gyome, who had been saving his Demon Slayer mark for the fight against Musan, to activate it right away because he knew just how things just got real, basically. Kokushibo kinda used this form like a defense. Next up, the third form, called Loathsome Moon Chains. Kokushibo uses this form against Senami, and if it was not for Gyome arriving at the scene, Senami would have been dead on the spot. I actually forgot to mention this, but we never actually see every single form of the 16 forms that the breath has. Now, another discussion point I want to bring up is this form most definitely I feel like had way more forms than just 16, just because of the fact that Kokushibo has been alive for over 400 years, and we know the reason he had become a demon in the first place was to live longer and to become stronger, perfecting his forms and power even more. We actually skip the fourth form and go straight to the fifth form, called Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddie. By the way, how cool are these form names? Every form has a really majestic name complementing the beauty and dignified of this breathing form. The fifth form, Kokushibo used against Senami, and Senami pointed out that Kokushibo was using this form without even swinging his blade. Next up, the sixth form, called Perpetual Night Lonely Moon Incessant. This attack in the manga translation is called Solitary Moon in the Eternal Night Afiji. Whoa, I don't know what it means, but that sounds gangsta. Kokushibo uses this attack against Senami in chapter 167 and absolutely obliterates everything in his path. This made Senami bleed severely. Next up, the seventh form, called Mirror of Misfortune Moonlit. By far one of the strongest forms Kokushibo possesses. This form even made the strongest Hashira, Gyome, admire and in awe of how fast and terrifying the speed of the form was. And to pair with the seventh form quickly right after, before Senami and Gyome even recovered from the seventh form, Kokushibo quickly releases another very powerful, the eighth form, called Lunar Ouroboros. Kokushibo uses it to pair with the seventh form. One thing I've noticed too was how incredibly fast and effortlessly Kokushibo releases his forms, and of course this comes as no surprise. Kokushibo literally possesses infinite amount of stamina because of him being a demon. His ninth form, called Descending Moon Perpetual Phase, Kokushibo uses it once again right after the eighth form to inflict damage to Senami, and before Senami can even react, he quickly activates his 10th form right after it, called Piercing Phase / Ivy Moon. and it completely surrounds Senemi. Senemi saw his life flash before his eyes until Mujiro came in and saved him. We then skip 11 to 13 and move to 14, with this form being possibly his strongest because this is the last actual form we see him use. And I have to say, man, this is the most beautiful form out of all of his forms. To be fair, all his forms are breathtaking, but if I had to choose a personal favorite within the forms, this has to be it. Kokushibo was planning to use this form to get rid of all of them at once. And last but not least, his 16th form, called Lunar Rainbow Fragmented Moon, Kokushibo literally makes it rain. This technique made Kiyome question just how many techniques Kokushibo has. It would be remiss of me if I did not talk about the sword of Kokushibo. It is a very creepy and a cool looking sword that seems to have a life of its own. The name of the sword is... I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name of the sword, but basically the meaning in English is Hollow Cry of the Godless. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and let me know if you guys want more of these breathing techniques explained. I will definitely do more in the future. Make sure to watch this video as I went over the Breath of Thunder if you want more. Let me know in the comments which other breaths you guys want to see. I'm most definitely gonna make this into a series, and yeah, that being said, until next time.